gentlemen, I didn't know if you knew this. And I'm not kidding. Magicians are known for sometimes being involved in a little deceit. This time I'm being real honest. That the world's greatest living magician comes from Canada. Unfortunately, we've lost him now for a while. He lives down at the Magic Castle in Hollywood. But throughout the world, in every country of the world, every race and nationality, if there's a magician in that country, the first magician you ever heard of is our next magician. He's known affectionately to magicians throughout the world as the Professor. I'd like you to welcome more warmly the great Di Vernon.
Well, after a modest introduction like that, what can I say? No, I'm not going to do any tricks or try to do any magic, but I'm going to show you an old swindle that they used to play on the Mississippi boats years ago. And the strange thing is, they're still doing it on the sidewalks of New York. And a short time ago, right on the corner of 42nd and Broadway, they were tossing, they call this tossing the broads. You know, the slang expression, a broad is a card, but they call it, a more polite term is find the lady. In other words, they used to take two black cards and a red card, and it's a very simple game. The idea is to follow the position of the red cards when the person operating throws them down. Now, when they used to do this on the Mississippi boats, they used to say a little game from Hanky Poo, the black for me and the red for you. And they'd say, if you bet 10, you get 20. If you bet 20, you get 40. I mean, then they used to throw these cards around. They'd throw them down very slowly like this. You see, they'd show the queen, and the idea was to see where the queen went. Now, you saw the queen go in the center, didn't you? Did you?
No.
Oh, no, I'm trying to explain the game.
Oh my goodness.
Look, I'm trying to explain the game to you, because if you don't understand it, you won't be able to win any money. Of course, we're just joking. But anyway, now here's why this game is so hard to follow. You can't, you know, if you bet on it, you'll always lose your money, because no matter how closely you watch, you'll see how deceiving this game is. Now remember, there's the queen. Now when I throw the cards like this, and I show you these two cards as black, like this, I show you the two black ones, you naturally think this is the queen, but that's black, you see? That one over there is black, and this one's black, and if they bet on this one, they lose, because that's black, and this is black, and the queen is that. It's clear as crystal, isn't it? Now look. No, please, if you just nod your head, that'll be sufficient. You don't have to applaud, thank you. Now look, now I'll show you how impossible it is to win at this game. Because look, when I take the cards, anybody can see. When I have one card in my hand, a 5-year-old boy can see where that card goes. But when I have two cards in the hand, it's hard to see whether I throw the bottom one or whether I throw the top one. That's the hard part. Now let me show you why it's so hard to you see, now this way, when I throw the cards, you can see where the queen goes. But when I throw them this way, and you see these two are black, you naturally think it's over there, but it's never there. It's never there, never there. And never here, it's always over there. Now you understand. So now, but even now, the average American or Canadian or Englishman is too timid to risk $1, and they have to have a sure thing before they make a bet. So here, these boosters in the audience, or they call them shills or Confederates, they have Confederates in the audience who are standing around. They're just lay people. They're working with the cheater who's throwing the cards. So here's what happens. One of these Confederates on the outside, when they throw the cards like this, he picks the wrong card and he throws the card on the floor, you see. I mean, he gets sore and he throws it down. Now when the operator turns to pick up the card, the Confederate bends up the corner of the card a little like that. He bends the corner up and he covers it over like that. And the operator picks up the card from the floor and he said, listen, mister, don't throw my cards around. They get soiled, they get dirty, and you'll be able to tell one from the other. He pretends not to notice that there's a bend on that corner. So when the operator picks up the cards like this and he throws them, the shill, the booster, makes a big bet and puts his hand over and he says, $20 on this card, $20 on this card. And he turns over and of course he wins because the card is bent. I mean, anybody can follow the card because it's very noticeable. But I want you to watch this closely. Now that card is black, definitely. And this card is definitely black, and the bent one is here. So it's very easy to follow when you throw the cards like this. And they see that they bet on the bent one, you see. And the fellow says, hey, well, the cards are bent. How much did you bet? They turn it over, and the card is black, and this is black, and the little queen is over there. Well, anyway, that's not, I'm too old to perform. I'm over the bridge, as they say, but that's a little lesson. Never bet on this game if you ever see anybody playing it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Professor, we've just seen you perform three-card Monte for a live audience.
Yeah.
Let me give you a quote from a book that you know very well.
Oh, I know the book. I bet you it's Erdnase.
I bet you're right. There is not a single card feat in the whole calendar that will give us good returns for the amount of practice required, or that will mystify us greatly, or cause us much amusement, or bears much repetition as this little game. And I'm sure you found that to be true.
That is absolutely true. Little hanky-poo. Black for me, the red for you. 10 gets you 20, 20 gets you 40. You can. This game used to be played on the Mississippi boats years ago, and they used to bet their plantations, their slaves, on this simple little card game. I mean, really thousands of dollars were waged on this game. But what a simple little plot it is to find. They used to call it tossing the broads, but they call it find the lady in polite terms. Find the lady. The lady is the Queen of Hearts. Now, the book, Erdnase, gives the best instruction of any book I've ever read on three-card Monte. Much better than anything else, including Ganson's description, my description, Stars of Magic. Much better. Erdnase is the best. But anyway, very few people know some of the work on cards. Now, of course, the gamblers bend the cards a little differently. I'm not going to go into that, but this is one of the most essential things. You get your three cards you're going to use. Incidentally, they use two duplicate cards, two black tens or two black...
Would you like
Well, all right. Well, all right.
two jokers and a queen, maybe?
Yeah, all right. I'll use that. We'll use that. Because they generally, the best way to do it is to use two duplicates. I mean, two jokers and a queen. That's all right. Now, you prepare the cards this way. You bend all three cards. You bend the corner up like that, both corners.
Those are the index corners.
Index corner, yes. Yeah. You bend the index corners up. Give them a sharp bend like that, both corners, and then take it out. Take the bend out completely. You take the bend out, flatten it right out, and you can see by the edges whether it's out. Now, the reason for that is when later, one of the main things in this dodge is putting the ear. The gamblers say putting the ear on, putting the ear on. Well, because that's what they call it, putting the ear on.
That's the bent corner.
The bent corner, meaning the bent corner. They refer to it as putting the ear on. Well, now the reason for bending them in the first place like that is when later, when you explain the part about the booster, the shill turns the corner up and covers it over. When I bend this card, look, which is done under misdirection, because I show the card over here with the little fingers on that corner.
Okay.
Little fingers on that corner, but you don't put the little finger there right away. You show the card naturally. And later you move your little finger there. That's the only move. Now as you show this card, you keep it face down.
Right.
You have that suspense in there, and you show this is black. As you're turning this up, the little finger, this turns down, the little finger does that, as you're showing this.
The little finger is just really pulling that corner
up. Pulling up. Now, when that's later switched, look at those corners. They're absolutely identical, see? So there's no difference.
But there's opposing movement there. It's the ring finger and the little finger that causes that bend to take place.
The card, see, the fact that the card is bent, it has a certain, it won't, if it's bent like that, you can squeeze on it, it won't buckle, see? It won't buckle. So you put that third finger, but the ring finger behind the little finger there, and you do that. But it takes an instant, that's all.
Right.
But you don't do that. You don't move any. You show the card here, the hand turns down. You don't move the fingers until the moment you're turning this up, and then the finger does that and turns it up.
Right.
So that's the way that the corner is put on. So you use strong misdirection for that.
So, Professor, I'm holding this the right way to do that corner bend.
That's right. You just hold it with the second finger and thumb. The other fingers are partly curled.
Right. Naturally, just resting.
Yes, naturally. So now you show the card to the person on the right, or the people on the right, to show it. Now you turn your hand down, and now this.
Now I'm going to keep it this way for the camera, just to expose the move.
You turn it down.
Right.
Now the third finger now is resting against the back of the card.
The third finger is
the
resting.
ring finger, the third finger is
Yeah, right
resting
here.
against the back of the card.
Okay.
Now, when you show this card,
With the left
the
hand.
moment this turns up, the left hand, you make this slight movement with your finger. Your little finger turns the index corner up, that's all. Pulls on it and turns it up.
Right.
That's right.
And that gives
Now
me the
it's
bent
already
corner.
bent to match the one that's on the table. Now, but here's the thing. 2 points. I've done this 3-card Monte, which is called Bonneteau in France, in Paris, and it's a funny thing that they told me on the television in France that it got more acclaim and praise from anything that ever had on television. He said hundreds of people wrote in and said, why don't you have more things that are as entertaining as that American who did this Bonneteau, see, 3-card Monte. Well, in the first place, the French are gamblers. They like to gamble, and the whole story and everything, because I had the MC turn up the corner. They threw the card on the floor. We played the whole thing through, and he turned up the corner, and, and it was funny, because, the audience, the vast audience, thought it was very funny. But anyway, I just say that because to say I've had a lot of experience with the trick, and I've got a lot of points that a lot of people don't know about it. Now, here's one of the points. When you throw the cards, everybody who knows 3-card Monte knows it's on the wrist, the turn of the wrist. When you can throw the bottom card, or with the same movement, with the turn of the wrist, you throw the top card. So it's a matter of throwing the bottom card or letting the top one slide off. So here's a very important thing. When you throw the cards like this, I mean, if you're amusing people with it, you throw the cards like this, and you throw them. Now, a person says, wait a minute, I wasn't watching. Now, they were watching, and they think the card went over there, but they make that remark, I wasn't watching. Now, if you pick up the cards again, and they see the card is in the center, they're going to, it's weak, because now you're giving away the fact that when they think it's there, and if you pick them up and they said, I wasn't watching, now you pick them up and it's in the center, now they know it's some kind of a trick. So, if they say I wasn't watching, for instance, you do this. Now they say I wasn't watching. Now you say, well, I'll do it again for you. Now you pick up the real queen, I'll do it again for you. You toss that out, and you don't betray the fact that you see, I didn't do that well that time, but I'll show you. Look, here. So in other words, here, you throw the cards like this.
Now the real queen is here.
Yes, and yes, the real queen is there. They think it's there, see? But I mean, they say they weren't watching.
Right.
But no, the queen is... No. Wait, what happened to the queen?
fooled, Gary.
I fooled
got fooled
myself.
too.
I fooled myself. No, I fooled myself. I was talking. You throw them down like this, see? No,
Okay.
see, no, anyway, they think the queen...
They think it's here.
No, I'm doing it
there.
wrong. I'm doing it wrong. What am I doing wrong here? Wait a minute. Let's see. When you get out of routine, you get mixed up. Well, anyway, when you make the throw, as I say, you make the false throw. That's it. Now, the queen is in the center, see? But
I think it's here, but I say I haven't been watching.
I haven't been watching, see?
You don't want to expose
So
right away.
I don't. So I pick this queen up, and I say, well, here, I'll do it again for you. Now, it looks as if it was there. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's nothing to it. You just put the queen on top of this one, and instead of doing the throw this way, you do it this way. See, but you do it in a fast motion. You say, they pick up the queen, and the fellow said, I wasn't watching. You pick them up like this, and you say, you weren't watching. Now, so you pick this up and say, I'll do it again for you. Now you're going to the throw, see?
And
Now here's the other thing. This is another thing that I found out just lately. There's always something that occurs to you if you fool with a trick. It's only in the last couple of years since I've been out in the castle that I do this with the trick. I did it last night with this young lady. Which one? The girl named...
June.
June. She was very polite. But they're not so polite in the castle, some of the women. So anyway, here's what happened. You see, I like this very much. I take the thing like this, I show the queen, and I do this, and I say, now you saw the queen go there. And they think it's over there, see? And in this castle, they said, oh, I saw what you did. It's not there. I say, yes. I said, it is there. Because I tell them it's there, and I'm honest. You see, but most people think it's over here. So here's what happened last night. When I did it for June, I did this, like this, and I threw the thing, I said, now you saw the queen go there. And she had a funny expression on her face. She didn't want to, she thought it was, she absolutely thought it was there. She said, yeah, you know, she was very hesitant about it. And I said, you see, it went in the center. Now she was...
Now she reacted,
She reacted, you see?
Well,
because that's a nice way to do it. For entertaining people. Now look at the difference in the entertainment. Look, if I do this, if I'm doing it for a girl, you know, and I'll exaggerate both presentations. I do this, and I say, now watch this. I said, now you saw the Queen go there, didn't you? Now you say no.
No, I saw it go over there.
I said, now I say, you're stupid, it went here, or I say something, or, haven't you got, well, do you wear glasses, or I make some smart-aleck remark. I mean, it's not, you're very polite about it. You don't, you're nice about it. In other words, here, you got the Queen like this. And I say, now look, you saw me throw it there, didn't you?
No, I think it went over
listen,
there.
I'm trying to explain the game, really.
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain. It's amusing, see what I mean? Because they're almost sure it's there.
Yep.
So, but now from then on, you go into the routine.
And I noticed, Professor, before the throw, you show the Queen. You really do throw the Queen down with the right hand, show it with the left, throw it down with the left. You condition them to that movement every time.
Oh, yes, you do that. As I say, there's no end of elaboration you can do with this. You can, many different...
Can you teach us the actual throw itself?
Well, the throw is nothing. It's just a throw like this. And the main thing is to keep those edges together. To keep those edges together.
These two edges here.
They're broken here, but those edges, you should never throw the cards like, you should never throw them like that. Because they'll see that card go right off. But this way, the edges are together. Those edges. It doesn't matter as long as you keep those edges together. Now, and also when you throw it, this top card comes off and you immediately switch fingers so that third finger is vacant. I mean, it was holding a card a minute ago. But when that helps complete the illusion because one is held with a third, so you switch, when you throw this top one, you switch fingers, so this finger is not holding a card, and it looks as if it must have come from there. But it all adds together to make a good illusion. If you throw, and you do this several times, you throw it like this. Now you show black and a joker, and you say that's not that's a joker, and this is a joker, and this is a joker, and of course this is a joker. It's over here all the time. You're not watching. See, or whatever you do.
It's a particularly good sequence. This one that you've just done. Would you slowly review the
well, yes,
sequence of
there's so many different ways. I mean, there's no end to the way you can combine and do these. And on tearing the card, Chris Michaels, who did this in my place on the Johnny Carson show the other night, you know, I showed him the torn card. And, you know, a couple of magicians from Kansas City and a couple from Texas sent telegrams to the castle to find out how the torn card was done. Because you tear the card in the center. And it's down there, and it's torn in the center. Well, God, you know, how can you switch that? And there's no switching a card, no extra card or anything, and the card is torn right halfway through, and yet you throw them in the torn card, and they pick it up, and it's a black one. You know, it's not the joker. He did that on television. I showed him how to do that on the television. Really? He fooled a lot of magicians. Sent telegrams to the castle to find out how it was done.
I'm not familiar with that.
Perhaps some of you never knew this dodge. So, I've used that to put a postage stamp on it, a corn card, and a little piece of rubber. There are all kinds of different things. You could write a book about this trick. But here's the main thing about the torn card is the good part. This is a very nice effect. You see, after you've thrown the cards several times, after you've done it several times, you say, do it again, do it again. I say, it's very easy. And you do, I can't do it with my thumb again. You do a nice double lift. You do a nice double lift, but you bring this card back out of sight so they don't know there's only one card there. And you say, well, here, look, we tear the card right, and you
just tear the other card.
And then you make a quick throw. See, but after you got the cards in order, they don't see the tear anymore.
Which is the same thing that you could use with the stamp, or perhaps a glad of some sort.
Yes, you all those things. Yes.
Stamping the back.
Yes, things like that. The way you do it with a stamp, you take the mucilage off a stamp, you wet it and wash the mucilage off, and only leave a very little stuff to stick. When you slide the cards together, it transfers from one card to the other. And the same with a paper clip, and there are a lot of different ways to do it.
But this one sequence of throws where it's not here, and it ends up over where you originally showed it.
The Ardenice doesn't have that. See, that's called a double flash. Monte workers, incidentally, an Irish name, old Pop Kelly, was the best three-card Monte worker that ever worked, they say, in this country. He worked all the fairs and carnivals. Oh, I met him.
Kelly.
Yeah, Pop Kelly. Old Pop Kelly.
You saw him work?
Yeah, I saw him. Oh, yeah. Very strange how they work. In Palatine, Illinois, one time, and this is a very funny thing. This would be interesting perhaps to magicians. I was at the Palatine Fair cutting silhouettes. And the fellow came up, he says, hey, you like magic, don't you? The fellow that knew me slightly, and I said, yes, why? He says, there's a broad mob coming to town, a broad mob coming to town. Now, I knew broad mob. I thought there were a lot of girls of negotiable affections. I mean, that's what I thought. I really did. I thought there was a broad mob. What else could it be? And you know what it was? It was a mob that threw three-card Monte. So I didn't know at the time. So I asked him, I said, excuse me, but what the hell, how do they work? How does a broad mob work? He said, you mean to say you don't know? He said, they toss the broads. As soon as he said toss the broads, I knew, but up to that time he said a broad mob, not tossing the broad. So he said, he said, they work around by the cattle. They had a cattle exhibit. He said, down by the cattle sheds. They work down there. Here, it'd be down near the fish market, or, but anyway. Anyway, so I don't care about making any money cutting silhouettes now. I want to see the broad mob work. So sure enough, the guy says, hey, there's a couple of them there, He points out, and I go over here, and there's a telegraph pole there, and on the pole is a great big card. The police ball contribute to the police benefit company a piece of cardboard about that wide, bent around the pole and tacked up there, advertising the police ball. This guy comes up and they both look around and he yanks the card down, and the guy puts it under his coat. He yanks this card about that long and about that wide, He yanks it down, he walks away. He says, watch, they're going to operate now. Well, anyway, he walked with this under his coat. They walked down near the cattle sheds, and I'm right out behind them. And all of a sudden, this guy takes out the card, holds it this way, and the other guy puts three cards, and they start yelling. And pretty soon some people come over, and within a minute, there are about 20 people around there. You think there's a fight or something going on. I bet you 20. Here, let me put in with you. I got 10. How much you got? They're yelling, and there are about 6 shells, but there's a commotion there. And I saw them toss the broad. That's where I met old Pop Kelly. But the way they could get a crowd assembled so quickly, and it dispersed just as quick. They made a couple of touches for $40 or $50, and right away they all disappeared together again. They went different ways, But that's how quickly they operate.
Professor, would you go over that sequence with us?
Well, it's very simple, Steve. Any person, can follow a single card when it's thrown down. But when you have 2 cards, it's hard to see whether the bottom one is thrown or whether the top one's thrown, see? So here's a little dodge that adds a great deal to the effect. You throw the card, you start the throw. Now you make your crooked throw. Now you say it looks as if the queen went over there. You take the center card, which is really the queen, and you turn the card over. You say it looks as if it goes over there, but it's never over there. Now you turn this over legitimately, and you say it's never there, and it's never there. So you apparently shown all 3 cards. See, and the queen is over there. Where's it belong? You see, and this is funny if you do it this way. If you say this, you've got to talk when you're doing it. You say, now, when anybody can see where this one goes, but it's hard to see which one of these go. Now, if you throw them like this, it looks as if it went over there. You see, it looks as if it went over there, but it's not there. Now, you immediately throw that card down again. You say, some people take the center card, and if you bet on this one, you lose, but you knew it went there in the first place, or whatever you say. I mean, it's funny because it's back where it's supposed to be.
That's particularly effective because that happens right after you've shown them the secret toss.
Yeah.
And yet that sequence really fools them.
Yeah, it does. It fools them. It's a very simple thing.
The corner switch, to remove the bend. You didn't cover how to remove the bend.
Oh, yes, that's right. Removing the bend is important. See, when you remove a bend, you take the card out here. But it's just the opposite. It's just the opposite to the other. You put the finger over here and you push down. You see?
I see.
You push down like that.
Yeah, and at what point do you do that in the routine, Professor? At one point you actually bend the queen?
Yeah, well, that's an important thing. Yeah, that's a good point, because that would be confusing to some people.
And it's also interesting how at some points you used to get it in by pointing with the card. Say some people.
Oh
point
yes,
here,
yes. Well,
some
that's the
point
way.
here.
That when you see the real thing, which I think I told when I did it before, is that one of the shills makes a bet, and he takes the wrong card and he throws it down. And when I pick I'm sure I told you this before for the camera. When I pick it up, he bends the corner of the card and covers it over. Now that's the real gambling way of doing it. But when you're doing it as a trick, I always do this way. I mean, after I've thrown the cards and fooled them a few times, I pick up the queen and I say, it's funny, you can't follow this card. Now I do this. See, I go right back here and I'm bending the corners. I do this. Now I say, look, these are both black, see? And I've already...
And they think you've done it by accident.
Now, Tony
when you were
Giorgio,
tapping
who's
the
a
cards.
clever cheater and everything, he says, now these are both black, you see? I said, Tony, people see you bending the darn card. What the hang good is it? I said, I bawled the life out of me. Oh, Vernon, you're not a professional. You don't. But you see, this is a subtle way to do the thing.